Interactive Wrestling Radio. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com. I'm James Walsh, joined as always by Daniel Edler with our special guest, Christy Torborg, formerly known as Asia. How you doing?
Great.
Oh, it's great to talk to you, and a lot of people have been wondering what you've been up to lately.
Actually, just having a really good time here in Daytona Beach and enjoying riding my horses.
Let's get back to the start, though. Obviously, you have an athletic build. We were just wondering what kind of sports you played before you got into wrestling and before you got into bodybuilding.
Oh, before, basically all my life I started competitive sports when I was 9 years old, and I sort of call it my previous life. I was a runner right up until I was 25 years old. I got a scholarship for cross country and track and went on through college and basically got burned out on running and started bikini modeling. And then that was my next thing that I really got into after running was bikini modeling.
How did that develop into weightlifting and bodybuilding?
Well, I was out in Oklahoma at the time when I was doing the professional bikini modeling, and I actually got Miss Hawaiian Tropics for Tulsa, Oklahoma, came down to Daytona Beach, competed in the 1990 Hawaiian Tropic pageant, and decided to start working out because I didn't want, to fall apart, keep the body in shape and all that, and got hooked when I saw the results that you could get from working with weights and working out and eating right. I wanted to take it as far as I could, so that's what happened.
In 1997, you were named the strongest female bodybuilder at the Women's Sports Extravaganza. What is your memory of that night and that award?
That was wild because I remember I just got done doing a show, actually the Florida State, and then I went on to the USA out in Las Vegas, and that next week I got an invite to go up there to do the Strength Extravaganza, and I really did not want to go. I was just dreading it, but, free ticket and all that, and they take great care of you, so I went and was just kind of looking around on stage at these huge girls going, oh my gosh, well, let's get this over quick, and all of a sudden that competitive edge started kicking in, and, just went for it, and before I knew it, it was down to the last rep and $2,000, and, it was great. It was tough. It was fun, though.
What led to you deciding to get involved in pro wrestling?
Actually, I always thought it was interesting. I loved watching it, just watching how the moves that they did and everything. But how I got into the business was I was working at Phoenix Gym in Daytona Beach, and Kevin Nash would come in and he would work out after hours because he didn't want to work out while people were in there. And I also knew Kevin Sullivan from a couple of previous years, and Kevin Sullivan was always like, yeah, you should wrestle, maybe try Japan. They love blondes over in Japan. And finally, he and Nash came into Phoenix one day, and they said, well, we've got an idea. How would you like to walk down to the ring with us at a house show here? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So I was waiting to hear back from him, and then Nash called me, and he's like, hey, listen, he goes, I got a better idea. He goes, so do you want to play wrestling? And I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know who Ric Flair is? And I was like, of course. And he's like, all right, I got something for you. I'll be back in touch with you. And so that's how it happened. Nash came up with this idea of putting me with Ric Flair, and it worked out.
Right.
So it was quite the experience.
When you were brought in with like one of the top guys in Ric Flair, and you were his mental health nurse named Double D. What is your memory of that name, and what is your memory of that angle and working with Rick?
Oh, wow. I just remember seeing him for the first time in the robe and just being around all those actors that were acting crazy, and I just thought it was just, I just could not believe you could get paid to have that much fun. I was like, this is just nuts to be able, to to make money having this much fun. It just can't be true.
You walked into WCW when many people said it was on its decline. How did you feel the company was being run when you entered?
I kind of had a weird, I mean, at first I thought, wow, this is great. But then I noticed that storylines were quickly changing so fast, and I just felt like there could be more meaning leading up into the storylines, but, you know, you really don't know what is going on behind the scenes, and, you know, you're just there to basically, you know, do what they want. And so, you know, you just kind of have a feeling of what is happening, but you don't know why, and you really can't say anything about it. You just, you know, do your job, and that's it.
You mentioned that you obviously were weightlifting and things like that, but who actually trained you for wrestling?
They sent me, believe it or not, I was actually the first girl to go to the power plant. When I started valeting for Ric Flair, they, you know, were talking that they were going to start sending girls to the power plant, start training them. I guess the power plant moved to a different location. It was beautiful, and I ended up going there, and this was in between the angles with Ric Flair being his valet and then being with the Revolution. So they were like, in the meantime, when they didn't know what they were going to do with me, they were like, this girl needs to learn how to work. So that's where I was at the power plant every morning. Gosh, and, you know, Sarge basically put us through boot camp, and there was just, you know, Paul Orndorff was there, and Mike Graham towards the end was there. There's a few in there helping, and then, you know, a bunch of the boys helped too, so it's great.
Who came up with the name Asia, and do you feel it was a play on the name Chyna?
Oh yeah, it definitely was. In fact, I know, well, WCW gave me the name, and I know it was a play on Chyna, but the play was supposed to be that Asia's bigger than Chyna. And at that point, I really didn't even know who Chyna was. I soon found out after, you know, because of the name, and then I remember, oh yeah, I've seen her on before, and, you know, so that's how that came about. But yeah, they gave me that name.
You later were put with the Revolution, as you mentioned. I presume that it was about when Vince Russo came in, and you were given that character with the Revolution. What was your opinion of working for Vince Russo and his ideas?
I think he had great ideas and was very creative, although this is just my opinion. I just felt like the storylines were turning way too fast, like things could have been built up so much more, but, you know, I'm new in the business. I haven't been around long, so, you know, what do you really know? You know, so that's how I felt, but I just felt that, yes, he was very creative and had great ideas, but I just felt like things were moving too fast, the storylines, and didn't really make much sense.
You were involved in a six-man tag at the Mayhem pay-per-view. During the match, you wrestled quite a bit with Eddie Guerrero. Was wrestling men something you wanted to be doing?
Oh my gosh, that was such a great match. I loved it. And one of the greatest moments I remember is being splashed by him at the end, and it hurt so bad. But I love wrestling men. I mean, they're strong. You feel safer when you're wrestling men, and it hurts. So, I mean, it's just, you're more alive. You know, it's great, because they are going to be rough on you, that's for sure. It's going to hurt. You know, when you're messing with them, it's not going to be something that you're going to forget the next day or so.
What's your opinion on some of the females that have broken through the gender barrier, such as Chyna and Trinity?
I think Trinity is awesome. I've seen her work, and oh my gosh, I would love to wrestle that girl. She's incredible. I think she's great, and great presence. Chyna, to me, I don't know, right now, I mean, I feel like she's old news.
You have a win over Medusa. First of all, did you train at all with Medusa at the power plant, as many of the girls did? And how did you enjoy your match with Medusa?
I love Medusa. I think she is awesome. She's rough on the girls, but once you understand where she comes from, then you understand why she is the way she is, and she's rough on herself. I mean, not only is, she rough on the people that she's trying to teach, it just comes because that's how she is with herself, and that's just her. She really, wrestling her, I felt like, I was wrestling this awesome wrestler, who she is, and just, I wanted to make sure that I made, her look good, and it's really, I get so many mixed emotions, almost sort of insecure, because to me, Medusa is the real deal.
How did Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Perry Saturn going to WCW affect your push in WCW?
Going to the WWE.
Sorry.
Yeah, going to the WWE affect you in WCW.
Oh, them going to WWE?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. At the time when that happened that night, I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I had Chris Russo telling me on the side, look, we're going to put you on your own. We're going to push you. It doesn't matter if they're going over, because in the future I was going to do something different with you. So I thought, well, our road, the Revolution road, has come to an end. But, oh, boy, it did affect me. I mean, I don't know. It kind of fell apart, and they were sort of like my, my safe haven, I should say, for keeping me, wrestling and alive at that time. I just didn't realize them leaving was going to really, I don't know. I mean, I just didn't realize it was going to come to an end after they left, for me.
In June of 2000, you came back and you were with your current husband, Dale Torborg. In that time, you wrestled and you were involved in angles involving Vampiro. How was Vampiro to work with?
Vampiro is great. He is, believe it or not, a real gentleman. He's just a very caring man, very sincere. And I just remember him not wanting to hurt me, and it's like, come on, I can take it, so don't worry about it. Give me your moves. I don't care. This is great, so let's just do it. So he really, really did not want to wrestle or hurt a woman in any way. He felt very strongly about that, which I respect him for.
Do you feel the story where he abducted you was rushed?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, definitely. That could have been so great. It could have been dragged on and just had so much more meaning to it. I mean, that was a great storyline that just ended way too fast.
What was the reason they gave you upon your release in August of 2000?
The reason, I still haven't really heard the answer why. All I know is I'm not sure if it had to do with Vince Russo. I'm really not sure what happened. Believe it or not, to me, it was a total shock, because they were telling Medusa and I that they had a new angle for us to get ready for, start, learning some really awesome moves, and they were going to do something with us, and they said, just go home, don't worry, and usually when they say that, that's when you should worry.
Are you still involved in wrestling at all?
Now and then I'll do independence, but not all that much. I mean, just, independence now and then. I haven't really tried to get my foot back in the door.
A question from our discussion forums that's been sent in is, were you offered a WWE contract any time, and would you like to return to a full-time kind of contract like that?
I haven't been offered. When I first actually got fired, I did try to go over and talk to them, and I sort of just quit pursuing it. I want to never say never. If I did get offered, I would really, if I did work again, I would love to be able to work with my husband. That would be great. But you never say never. But as of right now, I am so happy barrel racing my horses that I don't miss it at all.
Were you surprised at the sale of WCW?
No.
You knew it was going down, or?
No, I can't say that we knew it was going down, but I remember making sarcastic remarks to my husband, Dale, and he looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, I just remember him saying that McMahon's going to end up owning it. I just knew it. I don't know, it's just strange. It was just the way things were happening and the storylines were going so fast. It just seemed real shady.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people that we've had on the show keep saying that they kept doing things backstage, like the owners, like Brad Siegel and people kept doing things that was obviously foreshadowing that they were going to sell it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knew it would be Vince.
Right. I just had a feeling because, I mean, who else, you know, he's a brilliant man, and who else would, you know, and it just made sense to me that Vince would definitely own it.
We talked a little bit about your husband, Dale Torberg. Where did you guys meet?
Actually, at the power plant. He was, at the time when I went there, one of the boys that kind of took me under his wing and helped me out and spent a lot of time with me learning moves, and he was great to me there. I mean, I was just not nervous, but, you know, really, you just feel sort of lost, you know, as being a female, and he just really, really made me feel at ease and took good care of me.
With the NWA TNA promotion coming up, and with the WWE currently seeming to have a larger roster than they need, would you and Dale ever consider working for the TNA?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely consider it. It definitely would be a nice to return back into the ring, but I haven't given it much thought at all. You know, if the opportunity is in my face or knocking at the door, I'll definitely consider it. But other than that, it's almost like I really don't think about it much anymore.
Dan, would you like to take the word associations? Or?
Indeed. If it's okay with you, we'd like to go through some word associations now, where basically we'll say a name, and if you can say like a one-word answer, or if you've got a story you'd like to tell, you can indeed tell that. Is that okay?
Okay.
Excellent. Okay. First name on the list is Shane Douglas.
Oh, Shane Douglas. Awesome on the mic.
Ric Flair.
Oh my gosh, Ric Flair. Wild man. Wild one. He's just wild.
David Flair.
I'm sorry?
David Flair.
David Flair.
Oh, David Flair. Oh gosh, David Flair. Just, I want to say nervous, because I always remember him being so nervous backstage when we were with him, when I was with him. Actually, Tori and I were with him. I just remember him being really nervous.
Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff. He's the man that hired me.
Vampiro.
Vampiro. Very, there's a mystique about Vampiro. Very interesting.
Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash. Big, cool guy.
Sarge.
Sarge. Ooh. Sarge. Oh, wow. Sarge is great. I love Sarge. I always thought there was so much more for Sarge in the business, but I have very much high respect for Sarge.
Vince Russo.
Vince Russo. Well, he can't wrestle. I'm not sure, but I think he might have been the man that fired me.
Lita.
Lita, oh, she's awesome. She's awesome.
How about somebody you actually did work with in WCW that unfortunately is no longer with us, Miss Elizabeth?
Oh, I know Liz. Oh, she's a sweetheart. She was so sweet and just a very classy girl. Very classy.
Dan, do you have any others?
One final one that I have. Your husband, Dale Torborg. Dale, oh, of course, Dale. Yeah, he's my dream come true. He is very, very much a man.
Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans before we close out?
Just that I really, really loved wrestling, and I loved the support that y'all gave me. It was a great time in my life, and I'll never forget it. And it would be great to one day be back in the ring and face all my fans again. And just thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for this interview, and stay tuned for more from the interactive interview.
This is the Demon, Dale Torborg, and you're listening to the interactive interview.